How's it going, everyone? Another video today on eating for fat loss and nutritional recommendations and guidelines that I use myself and with clients. Now, let me just preface the whole video again by saying there is no one size fits all approach with this. What I'm going to recommend here, you could be an anomaly and you might not respond well to this, but again, that's the finer details which comes in with working someone on an individual basis. But for general guidelines, this is going to serve a lot of people well, and if you take on board some of this information and you have been struggling when you're dieting with actually losing body fat and maintaining performance, this is the video for you. Now, I'm probably going to use this video as well. I'm going to send this to clients when they first start working with me, so they have a bit of an understanding of what I recommend when it comes to how we're going to manipulate our macros and certain types of foods and just the reasoning behind everything, right? This video was made as well because I as you know, a lot of my videos will come from I make a tweet about something and I get a lot of questions. So this video was sparked from a tweet a couple of days ago where I spoke about my fat loss strategy, and people were asking me, what do you do with fat content? What about this? What about that? There's a lot of confusion, and to me it's pretty simple. Again, because I've been doing this for a long time and I help people do it, it's very, very simple to me. So I wanted to break it down in layman's terms for everyone, right? So there's four main rules that I got to govern the whole fat loss process for me, what I'm looking for, right? So number one, it's calories are king. Now everyone talks about this. It's all about calories in versus calories out. It's the laws of thermodynamics, and we have a scale. Okay, if we burn more calories than we consume, we're going to drop body fat. The body is going to then attack the fat stores that we've accumulated on our body. It's going to go there for energy if we're burning more than we're consuming. Again, it's just basic stuff. There is no denying that. So whatever you do with macros, it doesn't matter unless you're in a calorie deficit. So calories are king, okay? Had to get that out there. It's just straightforward, simplistic, but the video wouldn't make sense without that being as the number one point. Any sort of fat loss video, that's always got to be there. So calories are king. Now again, second point, pretty basic. You see this, put around Twitter and the internet a lot. Protein at 1 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. Now there's a couple of caveats to this. If you're someone who is morbidly obese, and let's say you were 350 pounds, you're not going to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That would have you eating 350 grams of protein. You would not need that. If anything, you would probably, a good rule of thumb is you're probably going to eat enough protein for your goal body weight. So if you was 350 and you wanted to end up at like 220, 250, you'd probably be more than sufficient with 220, 250 grams of protein, which would probably be around 0.6, 0.7 grams per pound. Again, that's an obese individual. A lot of the people watching this video are probably not going to fall into that category, but again, I have to give you that caveat right there, okay? So, the next one, so why 1 gram to 1.2 grams? Now, especially when we're in a fat loss diet and we're in a calorie deficit, the chances of losing muscle mass, they're going to increase just a touch as if we were at maintenance or in a calorie surplus. So I like to sometimes just put protein just above the notch of 1 gram per pound of body weight, especially for someone like myself who might have a lot more muscle mass. I like to just go on the higher end of protein when I'm in a deficit, just to try and preserve as much muscle as I possibly can and play it safe. So for me, let's say I was dieting on 3,000 calories and my body weight was around 230, 240, I eat 250 grams of protein, so I fall just above the 1 gram to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight when I'm in a deficit. But these are my macros down here on my last diet, just to give you a little bit of a reference. So that's the protein. Now the third one is, this is a big one, and this is where a lot of people were confused. So I like to keep fats to a maximum of around 50 to 70 grams a day. Now, why do I want to do that? As we know, per calorie or per gram. Fat has 9 calories per gram, protein, carbs has 4. So you can imagine if you start getting towards that 90, 100 grams of fat a day, you can easily see how your calories are going to begin to skyrocket. Now people can do fat loss diets like that, but then they're going to have to drop carbs, and that's not the way I like to do it. So I like to keep fat to a maximum 50 to 70 grams a day, just to maintain the regular hormonal function, especially for us men, making sure testosterone is regulating properly. And again, you go any lower than this, you're going to start to feel like a bag of shit, and we don't want that. Just a minimum level of fat we need to function, which is around 50 to 70 grams a day, okay? Which then, that leads me in to number 4. Now the important point is I like to keep carbs as high as possible. Now why do I want to do that? I want to keep carbs as high as possible so I can maintain as much performance in the gym, which is then going to lead into me maintaining as much muscle tissue as I possibly can while I'm in a fat loss phase, okay? Because it doesn't make sense. You see a lot of people, they go from a surplus or a maintenance phase, and they may be eating 400 grams of carbs a day. They're saying, well, everything is going great. Now obviously when you go on a fat loss diet, you are going to have to drop some carbs, that's unavoidable, but you're not going to go from 400 grams of carbs a day right down to like 100 grams on the dot. That is a recipe to just absolutely tank your performance. We want to keep performance as high as we possibly can, and we can do that by keeping carbs as high as possible. Okay, so if you get your calorie goal and you hit your protein targets of around 1 gram per pound, you fill in your 50 to 70 grams of fat, the remainder macros and calories that you have left, you just fill them with carbs, and you're going to be in a good position. So for me, let's say I was dieting on 3,000 calories, 250 protein, 330 carbs, 60 fat. That's just what I was doing, okay? So you can see how it will break down for someone like me. Again, this is not set in stone. I'm not telling you to go and do this. This is the way I like to do it, and the way I've gotten a ton of results for clients doing this. Now, as I say, everybody is individual, and there may be someone who can, go on more at the end and may require a little bit more fat, and that's fine. But that's some of the key points that I always have when getting lean and help people do the same. So the question come again on Twitter. So people were quite shocked that I keep my fat so low, to around 60 grams a day, and they were asking me, what do you do for protein? Because what about all my steaks and all my eggs and all this? And again, this is where we're going to get into the second part. So here's a couple of recommendations when it comes to filling out your plate and what the majority of your meals are going to consist of. So protein sources. Now, number 1, we want lean protein sources. I don't want protein sources with a ton of fat, because we're trying to keep our fats to the maximum 50-70 a day. So your protein choices are going to change quite a bit from what you might have been used to. So fattier cuts of steak need to go. Things like ribeyes, they're going to need to go. Chicken thighs, chicken drumsticks or whatever. Salmon, which is very high in fat, you're going to be taking a couple of your protein sources and switching them out. The only protein source with a ton of fat that I keep in there personally is eggs. Now I usually have eggs in the morning, just 4 eggs. That's probably only around 25 grams of fat. And then the remainder of my fat will come from just meat sources throughout the day. So some eggs is fine. Again, you might not have eggs, you could have maybe some salmon, which is higher in fat, but because you're not having the eggs, it's going to balance itself out and you're still going to be within that 50 to 70 grams. But let's say you eat 3 to 4 meals throughout the day, the majority of them are going to be pretty low in fat. So what sort of protein sources are we going to? So again, staple lean ground beef, depending on whether you're in the UK or the US, wherever you are. I know back home in the UK, they have like a 5% fat mince or 5% fat ground beef, and in the US I'm sure they have a 97.3 percentage to lean meat to fat ratio, whatever it is. So you're going to be going for lean ground beef. That's going to be a go-to. As I say, eggs are in there. Now your steaks, now sirloin and fillet, they're going to be your 2 go-tos instead of ribeye. Now sirloin, you can cut a little bit of the fat off, you can save yourself a ton of calories by trimming the fat. Fillet is extremely lean, so they're going to be your go-tos when it comes to beef. Obviously chicken breast, turkey breast is another good one. Greek yogurt, prawns or shrimps, or like lean fish, lean white fish as well, things like that. And just to go with the Greek yogurt, you've got whey, you can have whey on its own, but what I like to do is a Greek yogurt, some whey protein, maybe a little bit of fruit, and you've got a high protein, low fat, like moderate carb meal right there. It ticks all the boxes when it comes to fat loss. So that's a rough idea when it comes to protein. Now carbohydrates, pretty basic, but just a little bit of a game changing tip when it comes to when you are eating for fat loss. Rice and potatoes. Now you probably think, oh, what's the difference? Well, if you eat sweet potatoes and white potato, you can have quite a big volume of that for the amount of calories. So it feels like you're filling your plate out with a lot of food in comparison to rice. Rice is very easily digestible. You might not get a ton on your plate for the amount of calories. The white potato and sweet potato are going to look like a lot of food on your plate. And when you get deep into a diet and you are eating for fat loss, just those little mental hacks can make a big difference. So prioritise things like white potato, sweet potato. You can still use rice, plantains, all types of fruit, whatever your favourites are, bananas, apples. Game changer tip will be things like berries, even frozen berries, or at least you can throw frozen berries in with the Greek yogurt and whey. It tastes like a dessert. So that's a couple of your go-tos for carbs. Again, it's pretty basic, but you're not going to be eating any bullshit carbs like which are loaded with tons of fat and just shit. Keep your carbs nice and clean and you're going to be good to go. Fats, as I say, I don't add any fat to my diet when I'm getting lean. It's just, you're just going to have all the fat that comes with your lean ground beef, the eggs. Again, that's it. You don't need to add any fat, and then you're gonna be in this 50 to 70 gram a day without adding any excessive fat. Tip for when you're cooking in the pan. A lot of people like to cook with butter, ghee, whatever it is. Obviously, we avoid any sort of seed oils and the sunflower oils. We avoid that shit. But if you put olive oil or butter, ghee in the pan, make sure you heat it and then clean it with a paper towel, just so you take out all the fat content, but you have a layer of fat to cook on. That's not going to add any calories. So make sure you're not letting any oils like that sneak in, because that's what fucks a lot of people up. If they cook 3 or 4 meals at home, they put a spoon of olive oil in the pan. Before you know it, that's 300 or 400 calories that you haven't accounted for, and that can fuck up your own deficit for the day. So be wary of that. Bonus tip, put that at the bottom here. It's veggies. Now, again, whatever veggie that you like. It could be broccoli, cauliflower, tomatoes, peppers, carrots, whatever it is. These things are very, very low in calories, high in food volume. You can bulk out your plate. You can feel like you're eating a lot of food, but it doesn't have a lot of calories. That's just a game changer when you're trying to get lean. And again, it's another mental hack, because you actually feel like you're eating a ton of food, but it doesn't have many calories in. So it's just a no-brainer really. And plus, don't forget the micronutrients as well that comes from all the veggies and the fruits as well. That's also very, very beneficial when we are in a deficit and we're not eating as much food and calories to actually support growth or what we need. So our micronutrients become a little bit more important when we are in a deficit. So don't skimp on veggies or skimp on fruits or that sort of stuff. Maybe because you don't like veggies or stuff like that. Suck it up, you need to get some micronutrients in. Worst case scenario, you're going to have some green powders or things like that. But why would you have green powders when you can just eat your veggies? And again, you can have a ton of food volume. It makes you feel like you're eating a lot of food. Game changer when you're trying to get lean. So that's the video, and that's just the basics of what I'd recommend when it comes to setting yourself up for success with a dieting phase, and how you can manipulate your macros, types of foods that I recommend. And I think if you follow that, you're going to put yourself in a decent position. And again, it's just about consistently ruthlessly being on the ball with all of that, and not fucking around with calories and blowing everything out the water over the weekend and shit like that. You're going to be in a good position with something like that. Alright, as I say, let me know what you think. Drop some more video ideas down below, and I will talk to you all in the next one.